Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in again. I'm Alfredo, and today I want to talk to you about Seashell and tmux, two very important resources that are gonna supercharge your workflow on the CLI. If you're like me and you spend a sizable amount of your day to day on the terminal, maybe SSHing into servers, or maybe you like to use an editor on the terminal, or maybe you have to run a bunch of tasks to crunch data, or anything of the sort. No matter your inclination, I think that both of these are great resources to leverage for your day to day because they have a lot of really nice small additions, and in the case of tmux, it totally changes your workflow. And those advantages, even though they may seem minor, maybe you save a single keystroke or you save 1 second every time, but just multiply it over time. And the advantages eventually compound massively. So, first of all, Seashell is an alternative to Bash. Personally, I like a distribution of the Seashell shell called Oh My Seashell, which, besides installing Seashell, it also has a very rich plugin ecosystem from where you can install a lot of really cool modifications to provide you with a lot more interstitial information in your CLI. And a screen real estate is also the kind of thing that you have to maximize its potential. The more information that you get at a glance, the better, the more that it helps your productivity. And number two, I really like tmux, which is a terminal multiplexer. A terminal multiplexer means that it's a program that simulates running several different terminals on a single process. So you don't have to open multiple applications if you need to have multiple terminal sessions. If you're the kind of person that has to SSH into a lot of servers, maybe at the same time because you have a geographically distributed application, this is a tool for you. You could ideally open, let's say, one server per tmux pane. Besides this, tmux has a lot of really cool features, again, that save developer time. For example, instead of actually having to use your mouse to change the shape and size of your terminal, you can just do everything to very succinct keyboard shortcuts. So, again, using the more time that you spend with your hands on the keyboard and less using the mouse, the better, because it means that you're saving more time. You're developing your muscle memory, and all of that eventually is gonna improve your productivity massively. So let's get started and let's see what's up with both of this. So first of all, so here I am on Ubuntu on Windows 10, but of course this works on any major Linux distribution that you may have, or Mac OS, of course. So you can browse to Oh My Seashell, and you're gonna find Oh My C.sh. So you just go to here, and here's a little curl command that you can paste into your terminal, and that's gonna fetch the installation script and work all of its magic. It's just gonna take a little bit of time. In this case, it's gonna show that I already have it installed because I already installed it previously. See, there you go. So what you do next, once you have that, you can set your default shell to be Seashell, or you can just open Seashell directly, right? All right, so first of all, so what are the advantages of Seashell? Well, for example, out of the box, you get a lot of niceties, like, for example, you can fuzzy autocomplete commands with up and down. See? So I type it SSH. Seashell remembers the order of the characters that I've typed, and it tries to find if I've ever typed something similar before. So this is very useful, or for example, if you have ls, if you have, let's say, whichever other command. Over time, this is a really handy feature because of course, you can always do Ctrl-R and use Ctrl-R for things, but not necessarily Ctrl-R is going to remember the order of the characters. So carrying on. As you may notice on my terminal, so I have an extension which outputs the Ruby version that I currently have loaded, the date and time, the output of the last command and my current path, right? So you can cd into that, and there we go. See? So all of this is extensible if you edit your Seashell RC. After you install Seashell, you get a Seashell RC file where you can pre-set up your environment before you open the shell. And here, for example, you can change the themes. There's a lot of really nice and really cool themes that you can install with the click of a button. And see, you can customize your shell any way that your heart desires. There's a lot of really fun ones which even have glyphs or little tiny icons. I'm the kind of person that thinks that if you can summarize more information with less data on screen, the better. So you can actually get the information that really matters to you in a certain context whenever you need it. So you can customize your theme and all of that good stuff here. What else is customizable here? So for example, you can set any other environment variables or anything that you need in there, okay? Another thing that I think that is really cool from Seashell is that it is very nicely integrated with Git repositories. So if you SSH into a Git repository, it's gonna find that there's something in this directory that points to a Git repository, and it's gonna show the state of your repo, right? So all of this good stuff. So in this case, I deleted a bunch of files from here because I was working on stuff yesterday. Git checkout master. There we go. Git reset hard head. Okay. So as you can see, the color of this segment here, and it's gonna work exactly the same on most of these different themes, okay? The color of that, it changed once the state of my Git staging changed. So if I have novelties, it's gonna show this in red, right? And then if you're on a clean staging, it's gonna be in green. You can check out another branch, and it's gonna show the name of the branch there. You can, if you do a rebase, if you do a merge, if you do, a lot of that information is gonna show in there. And it also works with other different version control systems, but I've only used it with Git. So another cool thing about Seashell, you may have noticed that I checked out a branch just by typing GCO. And by default, you get a lot of really cool aliases. See? Here we go. All of these, you get it for free. So aliases are a way to type in the same commands with less characters. So instead of having to type git branch such and such and such, you just type gb. Instead of typing git checkout such and such and such, gco. And this is, over time, you really learn it, and it really plays nicely with, with most workflows that people may have. So this is really cool, isn't it? Okay, so let's get started with tmux now. Now, tmux should be already installed by default on your machine. If you don't have it, it's as easy as the usual sudo apt install tmux, and it's gonna work its magic. It should be on pretty much most common Linux distributions out there. Make sure that you don't have too ancient of a version, because if you have a version that's too old, it may not be compatible with some of the niceties that I'm gonna show in this video. But as long as you have something above 2.0, you should be fine. Next, I recommend to look for a modification called Oh My tmux, similar to Oh My Seashell. Oh My tmux is an extension that you can install for your tmux. You just copy the commands here into your terminal. So it replaces your tmux.conf and tmux.conf.local. And that's it. You're gonna get a really nice set of additions to tmux. Now, tmux is client server. So by default, you're probably not running a server on your machine. You can install a server by opening what's called a session. tmux has the notion of sessions, where a server can run many different sessions in parallel. Every session has a set of windows, and every window has a series of panes, or splits, as they're commonly known in other software that does similar things. Every session is a specific configuration of terminals, and you can actually leave it running in the background. You can set it and forget it. And this is cool because, first of all, for example, you can have many different sessions, maybe one for reading mail and just checking out blogs, another one for running commands and typing in code, another one for maybe you need to run a process that is going to take very long. So all of that stuff can live on their own independent session, and it doesn't touch any of the other session, which is really cool. Also, since tmux is client server, some people use it for remote pair programming, which is a fantastic subject for another video now that I think about it. But anyway, so let's start a session so you can see how this behaves. And in tmux, this is very easy. Tmux new dash session, then dash s, and I'm gonna call it test, right? So it's gonna work its magic. Now, once you create a session, you become attached to it. tmux has the notion of attaching to a session and detaching from a session to imply which is the currently active session for you. So here, as you can see, I have a little bar over here in the bottom, which is showing what's up with my current session, and it's showing the name of the session here, right? If you detach from it, then you go back to your normal environment. And if you run tmux ls, you're gonna see a list of every session that you currently have running on your server. Let's create a second session so you can see this, and I'm gonna call this one test2. So it's gonna open a complete different set of stuff, and maybe let's run some stuff here so you can see that it's independent from the other one. So here, for example, maybe I can tap neofetch. It's gonna display that, and once you run that, you can just detach from it and then attach to the previous one, which you can do, by the way, with tmux attach -t and the name of the session that you want to attach to. And see, this is completely independent from the other one, right? You can cd into workspace and all that stuff. MSMB, okay. All right. So cool stuff, right? And again, how do you attach and detach from sessions? tmux has the notion of what it calls the prefix key. So usually by default, it is Control V. However, you can customize it, and I like to customize it so I don't have to, to bear with all the travel in terms of key travels that you have to make with your hands. So I usually customize it to Control A. As you can see, there's a little indicator here. It means that we're in the prefix mode, and then you type in D and you detach. Then you attach to test2, and again, if you want to attach prefix D, you detach. As a matter of fact, tmux has what's called as a command mode, which is similar to the beam command mode. Let's attach to a session again. And once you type the prefix, you type in colon, and you're gonna see the bar on the bottom change. It's displaying a colon now. So here you can start typing in commands. Every shortcut that you can execute with a single key has a full equivalent here. For example, you can kill server, or you can kill window, you can kill pane, all of that, which are commands that the executable exposes by itself from outside of the tmux environment. You can also run them here, and you can also use the of code, for example, to detach. See, and you're detached. So you can attach and detach to sessions. But carrying on. But here's where it gets cool. So you can type Control A, and then you can type either on command mode, you can create window, right? Or I like just using the shortcut for it, Control A and then C, and you create a new window. So as you may see now, I have window 1 and window 2, and windows are independent from each other. So you can switch from window to window if you type in Control A and then the number of the window. So here we're back to the first one, and then new, such and such, and this is independent to 2. And here we can, let's go to, let's go to workspace, and then maybe the other repository, and you can, all of that good stuff, right? So this is independent, and that is independent, right? From within a window, you can split it, so you can have many different panes. You can do a horizontal split with prefix and then quotes. So you get an horizontal split. And again, this multiplexes the terminal, so you have two different terminals. You can actually just switch back and forth between all of the splits in the current window by typing a prefix up or prefix down, right? Prefix and the direction of the window that you want, and it will just switch to it. And you can create as many as you want. For example, prefix up. By the way, you can do a vertical split if you do prefix and then percent sign, and then it's gonna prefix it that way. Now, there's you can lock the windows if you type in Control A and then lock, which I customized to Q, by the way. And then when you do that, when you're in lock mode, every pane in your current window is, so you can type in the same commands. SSH into such and such, and you can do all of that and all that good stuff. So that's fun, right? And again, at any moment you can switch back and forth between windows, and whatever is happening here is going to be completely different from what's happening over there. So maybe you don't want this pane, maybe you want that, and maybe you want to switch to that, and maybe you want to go back to that one, go back to that one, go back to that one. By the way, maybe you have a lot of stuff going on. Maybe you have like, show me, let me lock out of that. And maybe you have like, show me the Git log. And maybe you want, I want to see what's going on exactly in that window. So you can type prefix and then equals, and that is maximize. So it will maximize the session into another window of its own. And again, you can go back and forth. Then, maybe I want to go back to the previous configuration I had. Prefix and equal sign again, and it's gonna minimize it back where it was. See, we're back where we were. So that's really cool, right? You can, if you want to make a pane independent, you can type prefix and then exclamation point, and it's gonna take it out of the pane and just gonna place it into a window. So cool stuff, right? And finally, in tmux, you can actually handle text a little bit different than you will normally outside of the Windows environment. What do I mean by this? So let's say that we have the Git log, and the Git log is showing a lot of cool stuff, right? And you want to, maybe I want to copy a lot of that stuff. So let's do this. So Git log, and let's lump it to a file. And then let's cat it. So it's gonna do all of that. And then once you're here, if you want to maybe, select text or copy text or all of that, you don't actually need to use your mouse. You can just type prefix and then brace, then it's gonna go into what's called copy mode. And it's gonna display a little indicator here. When you're in copy mode, you can start just moving around the buffer that's currently on the screen, and you can start copying and pasting. And it is actually possible to do visual selection like in Vim. So you can do this, and it's all gonna work. You just do yank, and maybe you can move it here, just paste it into another thing. So it is arbitrary. No matter the size of content that you may have in your current session, you can just use all of the scroll back to just copy and paste stuff however way you see fit. And for example, a lot of times I have to report the stuff that I ran on the terminal. So this makes the process blazing fast. So I think this is most everything that we need now. Just kill the server. And let's go, So this is a good primer to get started with tmux and Seashell. And I hope that you get into it because it is really cool. It will do wonders for productivity. It will make you enjoy working on the command line in a way that no other tools could provide. And also it makes you more resilient, more agile. It makes you, I love that part where it saves me from failure when I disconnect from an SSH server because I have to connect to servers through SSH a lot of the times. So let me know what you think. I hope that you enjoyed this little tutorial for now. I hope to see you around for the next one. So stay safe, and I hope to see you soon.